Good morning. Could I ask everyone to take a seat, please? And we will begin. What a cooperative group. Welcome to the Roaring Fork Valley Immigration Forum. This important forum is being sponsored by the Aspen Chamber Resort Association and the Aspen Institute, and we couldn't have done it without the support from the National Immigration Forum. My name is Steve Wickes. It's my honor to be the moderator this morning. You know, this forum could not be more timely. It was just in April that the Gang of Eight in the U.S. Senate put forth a proposal, all 844 pages of it. It was just last week that the deadline came and went for others to propose amendments. I've learned that over 300 amendments were submitted last week. And the act is now in the hands, of course, of the Senate Judiciary Committee. Of course, the U.S. Congress working on comprehensive immigration reform is nothing new. I think most of you in this room have been following this for some time and know that. Remember back when Senator Ted Kennedy and John McCain came up with their compromise plan? They got it through the Senate. They got the support of President George W. Bush, and then, of course, it died in the House in 2007. When President Obama took office in 2009, one of his promises was he would pass comprehensive immigration reform. Well, as they say, life interceded during the first term, and it got put on the back burner, and nothing happened. Now, after winning his second term, President Obama has admitted that it was probably his biggest failure of his first term, not passing comprehensive immigration reform, and he has vowed to get it done this term. I want to thank you all for being here this morning. I think part of the problem that's happened in the past is that we've left it up to just the policy wonks to work this out. We need everyone to become informed about this issue. It's very complex, and it really affects each and every one of us. So, this is exactly what we intend to provide you with this morning. A discussion from some of the most well-informed people in the United States on this issue. I'm a little bit surprised that CNN isn't here this morning. And during the second panel in particular, we're going to focus on solutions, because the risk of doing nothing is just too high, and the risk of doing it wrong is equally high. Our first speaker this morning is Mr. Warren Klug. This forum, let it be known, was Warren's idea. When I first thought about introducing Warren, I was going to use the trite old cliche that he's the brains of this operation this morning. No, instead I'll use another trite cliche. Warren, you're the heart of this effort. As you're going to learn this morning, Warren had some up-close and personal experiences with the travesty of the current system, and this has turned him into somewhat of an immigration evangelist. I've learned a lot just getting prepared for this, speaking with Warren. You're going to learn an equal amount. Please welcome Mr. Warren Klug.
Well, thank you, and good morning to all of you. It's wonderful to see so many people here, and it clearly is an indication of the kind of interest that there is in this whole immigration issue. I want to thank all of you for coming, and I want to thank our speakers that you'll be hearing from today as well. We have an exciting lineup of experts and participants. I think you're going to find this to be a very interesting morning. On your tables, by the way, you will see the agenda. And, or you picked up an agenda outside, and also on the table you'll see something called the Colorado Compact, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later today, but it's an interesting outline of principles and kind of foundational information for consideration here as we approach the whole immigration issue. We have a full morning ahead, and I want to start by telling a story. It's a story about a boy that I know. A boy who lives in this area. Let's call him Jose. He came to this country and to Colorado with his parents when he was very young. His parents worked hard. They brought up Jose in a good home and where hard work and education were valued and were important to the family. Jose was part of a supportive community, went to our schools in this area, and was an athlete, a great student, a top student, in fact, good grades. He achieved in high school, did very well. His dream was to go to college, and he worked hard to make that possible. He had summer jobs, he saved his earnings, and his parents saved what they could as well. They watched with great expectations as their son began the college process in the fall of his senior year. Jose applied to several schools, both in Colorado and elsewhere, and then it happened. The realities of his family's status meant that he would have to pay out-of-state tuition to any Colorado college or university. And colleges elsewhere, outside of the state, were just too expensive. The status of his parents also made it difficult because the required forms to pursue this process could not be completed. It's the case that Jose had hit a giant brick wall. His dreams for the future were stopped dead in their tracks. There was no place to go. His parents worked hard and they were valued by their employers. They'd been part of the local community for many, many years, but it made no difference. They are undocumented. There are more stories to tell, of course. This is just one. We could talk about the advanced degree students from foreign countries who graduate from our subsidized universities and colleges, but then when they get their diplomas, they have to go away. They can't stay here. They can't continue to be contributing members of our economy, in our economy and of our communities. They have to go home. And by the way, where they may end up competing in their future businesses with American businesses, when they perhaps could have formed their companies or businesses and done their work here to create more American jobs, they're elsewhere. And what about the Colorado farmer? We have them here in Colorado. The Colorado farmer, for example, that couldn't get his corn crop taken care of because he couldn't get enough people. Or up in Fort Collins, another farmer who saw some of his vegetables rot in the field because he didn't have the help to harvest them. These aren't stories of people far away. These are Colorado stories. And it's stories like these and like Jose's experience that have brought me to be an advocate for immigration reform, for meaningful reform, and something that can make a difference now. I hope that today's conversations will encourage you and all of us in a positive direction to take action and to learn more about these issues, to take a stand, whatever that stand may be, and to see good things happen. We're here today to talk about people like Jose and his parents and others who have hit that brick wall in different ways as well. We're here to talk about employers too and the workers that they need. This immigration forum will provide us all with a better understanding of the immigration system that is in place now. What are the problems and what is in the future? We'll talk about the economic impact of immigration and reform. We'll then focus on solutions and ideas to serve the interests of individuals and employers and our national economy. We'll talk about safety and national security as well. We'll talk about options and ideas, and we'll take a hard look at what the Senate Gang of Eight has proposed. They're considering it in the Senate right now. Legislation is under consideration to make a difference, and that's part of why we're gathered here today. We have leaders in our state who are committed to immigration reform that will work. And to this end, our own Colorado Senator Michael Bennet pursued the development of the Colorado Compact. You have a copy of it on the table in front of you. It's a set of foundational principles on immigration for Colorado and leads the direction, we think, and leads us in positive ways. We all looked, by the way, to the Utah Compact, a similar listing of principles that you'll hear about today as well. Other steps taken in Colorado include legislation to allow undocumented individuals to get a driver's license, an insurance and safety issue, that's for sure. Colorado high school graduates now, if they're undocumented, now they're able to get in-state tuition at the Colorado schools and universities. And our local police are no longer required to pursue immigration status in their normal pursuits of public safety, but rather they are able to focus on police work that needs to be done. And at the same time, we recognize that immigration reform is a federal issue. There are a few things we can do in the state, but it's a federal issue. And having a patchwork of different state statutes and regulations Just doesn't make sense. So we have excellent people with us today who have important information to share. And let's get started. Let me introduce you to Ali Noorani of the National Immigration Forum in Washington, D.C.
Thank you, Warren, and I really want to thank everybody for coming out this morning. It's a real pleasure to be here, and I just have to thank the Aspen Chamber, the Aspen Institute, Warren and his team at the Aspen Square Hotel, and again, all of you for coming this morning. It's been an incredible time to get to know the leadership in Aspen, but it's also an incredible time for us across the country to be working for comprehensive immigration reform. You are led by two, I think, of the best senators that our country has to offer, with Senator Bennett and Senator Udall. Both of them have been strong but practical engagement in the issue of immigration reform, and they and their staff, and I know Sarah is here from Senator Bennett's office, have just been incredible to work with. And then another person who just walked in the doors, your Attorney General, John Suthers, who's been just a great friend of the issue, and thank you for your leadership on everything. So we're here to talk about immigration reform. And everybody here realizes that the status quo is completely unsustainable. It's costing our country $18 billion a year to enforce a system that, frankly, needs a fix, a big fix. And when you read the newspapers, when you're in D.C., when you're across the country, this is what people are talking about, is, okay, what does a 21st century immigration system look like? And how do we, as individuals, engage in that conversation? It's a big issue, it's an unwieldy issue, and it's an issue that comes with a lot of tension. But the fact is, we all don't have to be experts on this. Frankly, it's impossible to be an expert on everything within immigration. It all comes down to our individual story and our individual experience. So what Warren started with, and that story of Jose, we all have those stories. We all have those experiences. We all know somebody who came from another country. Our families have those stories. So as we're going through this morning, and we're getting up to speed on the policy, what the issues are, what the solutions are, and you're saying, okay, how do I articulate this to a member of Congress? Just go back to your story. Go back to why this issue is important to you, whether it's a family, a friend, or your business. For us as the National Immigration Forum, we've been working for a few years now convening these kinds of events. So it was actually started in Utah with the Utah Compact, but over the last 2 years, we've seen this outpouring of support from those who hold the Bible, wear a badge, or own a business. And it's kind of been shorthanded to Bibles, Badges, and Business for Immigration Reform. Yeah, it's kind of punchy, right? This could be my high mark as an individual. But in reality, what we found is that a voter definitely not going to listen to me as a national advocate, but they will listen to their pastor, their police chief, or their local business owner. And so many of us in this room today know those people or are those people. So across Colorado, Michelle Warren has been doing incredible work with the faith community. The police, the law enforcement community has been a strong partner. And then, of course, business, whether it's tourism, hospitality, agriculture, technology. All of these different constituencies have been coming together to push for immigration reform. And that's why it's different now. This is not the immigration debate of 2006 and 2007. This is a 21st century immigration debate calling for a 21st century solution. And all of us in the room today are part of that conversation and will be a part of that solution. Because whether we're in Aspen today, Atlanta tomorrow, Salt Lake City next week, Des Moines the week after, the same conversation is happening, where conservatives, moderates, and liberals are working together to find practical solutions. And the congressional members of Congress are hearing that, and we have a great opportunity. In the next few months, immigration reform will be debated in Congress. We're going to see the Senate Judiciary markup continue this week. We'll see a Senate floor debate in June, and we'll see a House debate starting sometime June and July. It is going to be a long, fun summer of immigration. That's the way I have to think about it, because it might be a little tiring. But I think we're going to win, because these kinds of conversations that we're having today are happening across the country. So I really want to, again, thank you and thank our co-sponsors and our hosts for such an incredible moment. So my job at this second is to introduce our keynote speaker. Mark Doms, Dr. Doms, is an undersecretary with the Department of Commerce, and he doesn't like to be called doctor, so I'll call him Mark. We had a great dinner last night where a lot of the speakers were able to come together and just get to know each other. And it was a great opportunity to get to know Mark and his range of expertise and research on this issue. Not only on immigration, but his work overseeing the census and other issues so important to the Department of Commerce, but also he has also worked with the Federal Reserve. So his presentation is going to set an incredibly important foundation for the rest of our conversation. So again, as we're thinking about our story and our experience and why we want immigration reform, we'll actually be able to look to the data and the information that Mark is going to lay out. And then I also just have to say the President and the entire administration has been a very, very key ally in this conversation, in this push for immigration reform. They're taking a practical, a rational strategy that's not buying into the partisanship that we see on so many other issues in D.C. And that, I just have to say, is a really, really big change, and another reason why I think we're going to win. So, Mark, thank you very much for joining us, and please welcome Mark Doms with the Department of Commerce.